I'm so glad you found me. I'm Stephanie Carter Kelly, a physical therapist that integrates yoga into everything that I do. Each week, I'm sharing physical, mental, and spiritual ways to heal your pain. Today, you will learn why your low back hurts because of the immobility of your upper back, and you're going to learn how to do something about it, which is very powerful. So, most of you probably during the day sit and work. So I'm going to focus really on those of you that sit during the day. And so by nature of, and whether it's driving in a car or sitting at a desk with all these things in front of you, we tend to round through our upper back. Even if it's, for a little bit of time, we're sustaining this position of a rounded upper back. And because of the years that you've been doing this, now your upper back is stiff. You're less mobile through this area of the spine. And because all of those curves are connected, if this area doesn't extend, if it doesn't move like it's supposed to, and you don't come out of that curve of your spine, then your low back, which actually has probably more mobility in this extension and flexion direction, if you're stuck here, when you go to stand up, your low back is actually going to hyperextend a little bit. And so because of that little bit of extra movement in the low back, now it's taking all of the tension and the stresses every time you take a step, every time you go from sit to stand. Just those little bits of extra movement are making it hurt. So if you're somebody that sits during the day and you don't really notice back pain while you're sitting, but then when you go to stand for any period of time or walk for any period of time, and you really notice that back pain when you're doing those activities, it's because of the stiffness. And so you might be able to get in that correct posture, but the sustaining this has left you more immobile and less fluid through the upper back. So what are you going to do with it? What you're going to need is a foam roller, 6 inches in diameter, 36 inches long. You can get these just about anywhere. I get them locally for about 20 bucks a piece. You can get them off of the internet. You can go to the big box stores. Sometimes they're more expensive there, but it's pretty stiff. You can get softer ones. So if you're really sensitive in your spine, you can get softer ones. I'll try to leave some links in the notes to a foam roller if you want to order it off the internet. And so I'm gonna go down to the floor and show you what we can do with the foam roller. And so we're going to focus on 3 areas of this upper back, and from the mid to the upper back, because you can't just do the whole area. There's 12 vertebrae in your thoracic spine, and so we're just going to focus on like 4 of those vertebrae at a time. So we're going to do just a little bit of movement, and we're going to start right in the middle. So for women, it's right at your bra line. For men, if you think about nipple line, right behind that nipple line in your back, that's where you're going to want to put the foam roller, right in your back. Now, the other part of this that's really important is now your head is sort of hanging off of the rest of your body. You have to support your head. We don't want you to be doing this during the exercise. We want to target the motion in that mid back. So you can interlace your fingers. Put those fingers in your neck. The pinkies, the pinky side of the fingers is right snugged up against the base of your skull. And so this distance between your sternum and your chin is going to stay the same during the exercise. So you get those hands in there, and then you're going to pull your elbows together. Don't do it with wide elbows because then your head and neck can move. Draw the elbows together, snug them right up against your cheekbones even. And then go to that mid spot, right in the spine. And just first you can just kind of relax into it. and let just that little bit of stretch right in the middle of that curve sort of mobilize you. So we're really mobilizing the joints of the spine, the vertebra of the spine. So in this position, knees are bent. You're going to pick your bottom up, and you're just going to move back and forth a little bit. You're pushing and pulling through your feet to move a little bit. Really, most of the effort is supporting your head and neck and moving through the legs. You don't have to go far. I'm not going all the way up to the top of my spine and all the way down. Just a little bit of movement back and forth. And you can kind of feel bump, bump, bump. You're going right over the parts of the vertebra called the spinous processes. They stick straight out the back. So I do that 10 or 12 times, and then find a spot right in the middle of that curve, right around the bra line. Set the bottom down. Now, this is where you have to really pay attention to the head and neck. Really support your head and your neck here. Lift your elbows so that you begin to move through that middle back. And you want to make sure that you're not arching in the low back. So kind of rock your pelvis back, engage your belly, and then lift the elbows. And just stretch right in that mid back. So we're trying to target one area and not the other areas. So it's just a nice, gentle stretch. Make sure you breathe, because these vertebrae attach to the ribs, so if you can get some nice big breaths, you'll mobilize that whole area. And then use the elbows and the arms to come back to a neutral position. Now you're going to take this roller down a little bit lower at the bottom of your rib cage. You want to still kind of feel the ribs. You're not in the low back. Keep holding on to your head and neck. Really support it. Make sure this distance, again, doesn't change. And then lift your bottom. You're rolling in the bottom of that thoracic spine. So you kind of want to feel the roller on the sides, on the ribs that are right beside that thoracic spine. Put all your effort into holding that head and neck. And if at any time you feel some strain in your neck, you can just take a break. You don't have to do all three areas at the same time. Even just doing that middle area might be enough. So I just roll back and forth, pushing and pulling through the feet again. Just trying to relax the whole spine down around the roller. And then stay in that low spot. Set the bottom down. I'm going to rock the pelvis back so that I try to flex in the low back. I don't want to affect the low back here. That's what sort of the issue is. We don't move through that thoracic spine, so tighten in your belly and then lift the elbows again. You may get some little pop, pop, pops if you're really tight. You should feel the effort in your belly because you're really holding that posterior pelvic tilt or the roundedness through your low back. And then pull with those elbows to come back up. There's one more spot. We're going to go up high. Now you have to be kind of careful in this high spot. You're between the shoulder blades. That's another reason to bring the elbows together to get those shoulder blades out of the way. Now you don't want to go up so far that you feel the roller on your thumbs. So come right between the shoulder blades. Again, hugging and holding that head and neck. Elbows are together. So if you look, my elbows are really tight together. They're not out here at all. They're really tight, right up against my cheekbones. Really holding. I don't want any of you to, start with back pain and end up with neck pain because of what I've given you. So these are all ways to stay really safe while you're doing it. So again, just lift your bottom, roll back and forth. Maybe if you could watch this video with a friend and you guys can then make sure that you're doing it correctly, especially through the head and the neck. This is also great for those of you that have a little bit of pain in between the shoulder blades.
You're going to really feel this up along the edges of the shoulder blades. But we're really trying to just mobilize that upper back. It gets really tight in this spot. So anybody that has neck pain, it's really good to do these levels too. So find a spot between the shoulder blades, set the bottom down, rock the pelvis back, and then lift the elbows. So I can't go quite as far in the upper back because I'm really blocking all of those areas. Full motion of the spine is dependent on each vertebra moving on the other vertebra. So here I'm trying to support the lower vertebra while moving the upper vertebra. Nice big breath. Again, ribs are involved in this. But again, you'll see my chin to my chest, my sternum, that relationship stays pretty much the same. I'm not backward bending in the neck at all. I don't feel this in my neck. I feel support in my neck and stretching right in between the shoulder blades. And then use those arms to pull up. And you may feel some effort in your abdominals because the front of the body has to work while you're doing that. Okay, so you're stiff in the upper back, and that's what causes too much motion in the lower back. We get a little bit of overuse in that low back because of the stiffness in the upper back. So we're trying to support the low back, move the upper back. So if you liked this video, if you got some information from this, or if you do this exercise and you love it so much, share it with your friends. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that every week you can get more tips and tricks about how to relieve your back pain. I'm Stephanie Carter Kelly, yoga physical therapist. Namaste.